Hey everybody, yeah, I'm going to do a beer today that, it's hump day, by the way. Happy hump day to everybody. I'm going to do a beer today. I hadn't planned on doing this year. I've done it like 3 years in a row. It's a seasonal special release ale from Schlafly. It's their pumpkin ale. Like I said, I've done it 3 years in a row, but I didn't get very many, unfortunately. It's still not available locally. I don't know if it's ever gonna be. Let me adjust that camera a little bit. Yeah, get centered there. I don't know. It's kind of strange here. I had to call the Schlafly, and I called Schlafly and talked to their guy in charge of distribution and told him what the problem we were having with their distributor here in our area. Is the bud guy, and he doesn't want to do craft beers. So apparently they had a little get together and a little go around, and finally we're going to be getting some, but haven't got any yet. Haven't got any locally, so sorry, particularly Robert. I was going to send you a couple. If we get some locally, I'll send you some, but I just got a few and just about out, so I figured I'm going to do them anyway. But from the website, it says, our pumpkin ale blends the spices of the harvest with full-bodied sweetness for a beer that tastes like pumpkin pie. Pounds of pumpkin form a malty foundation that supports the fall flavors of cinnamon, nutmeg, and clove. While pumpkin beers were produced in the early days of the American colonies, they were different from the pumpkin beers we know today. Colonists used pumpkin and squash as a fermenting medium since malted barley was scarce. Once malt became more readily available, it replaced these alternatives to grain. In the 1990s, American craft brewers reintroduced the style to the delight of pumpkin beer drinkers. A special release pumpkin ale available for a limited time with a new style every few months. Schlafly Premium Pumpkin Ale blends the spices of the harvest with full-bodied sweetness for a beer that tastes like pumpkin pie. They actually make it with pumpkin and butternut squash, and then they spice with nutmeg, clove, and cinnamon. It's 8% ABV, 16 IBUs, so you know it's not going to be too sweet. So nice little hiss, nice little smoke coming out of there. Didn't quite get it all in with that head. I got maybe a finger and a half, almost 2 fingers of a light yellowish foam. We got a deep orange, almost amber color beer. It's sort of pumpkin colored, but it's verging more towards amber. Seems to be a decent amount of carbonation streaming up, not a ton. So let's get a nose on it. Okay, yeah, you're getting all the spices right up front. Cinnamon, your nutmeg, your clove. It seems a little heavier on cinnamon this year than it had been before, but you're definitely getting those pumpkin, I guess, what do they say, butternut squash notes in there, but primarily the pumpkin. Maybe just a little sugar and molasses, but it smells like a pumpkin pie fresh out of the oven, other than the fact it's cold. But anyway, let's get a taste on it. Yeah, again, it's kind of heavy on the cinnamon, but fairly well balanced against the other spices. Definitely sweet and malty. Definitely, you're getting the pumpkin pie, the pumpkin notes, nutmeg, but primarily cinnamon. But it's fairly well balanced. And it also has kind of a slight warming effect from the from the ABV. It's kind of a medium-bodied. Seems to be fairly light carbonation when you're drinking it, although the alcohol does kind of leave a little tingle on the tongue. It's creamy, just the way a pumpkin ale should be. Like I said, I haven't had a ton. I haven't had the pumpkin. I haven't had the dogfish head. But I've seen a couple reviews of this in the the pumpkin side by side, and this one seemed to win just about every time. It's definitely definitely one of the best. It's definitely the best pumpkin beer I've ever had. Heads and tails above everything else. If you kind of chew on it a little bit, the alcohol kind of separates out a little bit from the other flavors, so you realize you're drinking an 8% ABV beer. And by the way, I tried, just as an experiment, I saved one of last year's bottles. I didn't cellar it, but I kept it in the fridge I drank it a couple weeks ago. Despite being 8% ABV, it doesn't age very well at all. The spices were there, everything was still there, but there was no pumpkin at all. So definitely not one you want to age. It's one you want to drink fresh. And unfortunately, this was bottled on 7/25 at 1540. So they even give you the hour and the minute it was bottled. But definitely one you'd want to drink fresh. And it was first released on August 1st, and they still haven't got any here at my local store. So oh, hi there, little critter. One of those little granddaddy long legs running across my arm. Now he's on my shirt. He'll probably end up inside my shirt when I put it on. But let me sit. I will sit and sip on this a while, and I will come back after a while with the final thoughts and grade. Okay, I'm back. It's only been 20 minutes or so. This warmed up a little bit. As it's warmed up, that breadiness that I've noticed is in other years' versions of this, is coming out a little bit more, but it's still not quite the breadiness and the shall we say pie crust type flavor that I used to get, that I remember from the earlier versions. This is primarily the pumpkin / squash and spices, but that being said, it still didn't disappoint. It's certainly certainly the best pumpkin ale that I've ever had. I think it's one of the best pumpkin ales out there of the ones I've tried. Like I said, there are some I haven't tried because we can't get them here, Dogfish Head and Southern Tier in particular, but it's a great use of pumpkin. There's not a lot there, but there's enough for you to know it's there. And this year's is at least primarily the spices, spice forward. Earlier years, I almost said it was like eating a pumpkin pie backwards, you know, crust first and then the pie. But I am getting a little more with it warmed up of the breadiness, but not as much as I got in other years. But still a damn good pumpkin beer. And if you know me from my reviews, it's not, you know, fruit beers and pumpkin beers are not one of my favorite styles, but little inchworm dropping down from my camera. I think it's an inchworm, something weaving a little web there. But finally hit the table, crawling around. Yeah, little insect with 6 legs, so it's not an inchworm. But anyway, I'm going to give this year's edition of the Schlafly Pumpkin Ale. Off the label it says, "I would rather sit on a pumpkin and have it all to myself than be crowded on a velvet cushion." Henry David Thoreau. So still the same label, not quite the same beer, but still a damn good beer. So 9 out of 10 for the Schlafly 2013 Pumpkin Ale. So hopefully I can get some, maybe a little more freshly bottled here soon sometime, and I can get some sent out, because I'm just about out. So till next time, everybody, cheers. Let's keep drinking good beers.